Venezuelans continue to strengthen defense mechanisms in strong showcase of civil military police unity in the face of U.S. threats. Hurricane Melissa currently in the Central Caribbean Sea has strengthened and reached Category 4. And youth groups in Peru staged a new demonstration on Saturday demanding the resignation of interim President José Jeri and calling for justice for the death of a protester just over a week ago. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We'll begin with the news. Venezuela restated the triumph of its struggle against narcotics smuggling during the Bolivarian militia drills in Caracas as part of the Independence 200 military operation. The action included interventions in key coastal areas with the aim of strengthening coastal protection and ensuring national independence through strategic deployments and operational evaluation exercises. In this context, the Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez specified that maneuvers had been carried out on the islands of Patos and Orchila with successful results in the training of units. In turn, he highlighted the country's achievements, affirming that it is a nation free of drug trafficking in the face of recent threats from U.S. imperialism. And the government of Barbados denounced the frequent threats by the United States to peace in the Caribbean region. At the 86th Annual Conference of the Labour Party of Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley denounced the deployment of U.S. warships in the Caribbean Sea and demanded respect for the sovereignty of countries in the region. She also highlighted the region's historic efforts to establish itself as a zone of peace, which is now directly threatened by foreign military ships. In turn, she demanded that any dispute be resolved in the UN through dialogue, rejecting the unilateral imposition of force.
Ahora estamos enfrentándonos a una multiplicidad de amenazas.
We are now facing a multitude of threats. We need look no further than threats from ships, U.S. military ships across the Caribbean Sea, including what is reputed to be the largest warship in the world. These are no longer the days of pirates. This is 2025, and we have reason to be genuinely concerned because even as that is happening, one of the most dangerous threats to the 2025 Atlantic season is taking into account our brothers and sisters in the Northern Caribbean, Melissa. We are facing, my friends, an extremely dangerous and intolerable situation in the Northern Caribbean. And as a people with a tragic history of being subjected to centuries of great power, orchestrated genocide, terrorism, and war, and as a small state, we have invested enormous time, energy, and effort in establishing and maintaining our region as a zone of peace.
Y esfuerzo en establecer y mantener nuestra
Hurricane Melissa currently in the Central Caribbean Sea has strengthened and reached Category 4. Hurricane Melissa is expected to make landfall in Jamaica in the coming hours, while Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Cuba have heightened alerts. The hurricane currently has sustained winds of 220 km per hour, moving slowly west-northwest at just 7 km per hour. According to regional forecasting centers, the slow movement makes the storm more dangerous as its prolonged presence in the same area brings heavier rains, higher storm surges, and stronger winds. The U.S. National Hurricane Center reported when the hurricane was 195 kilometers from Kingston, Jamaica's capital, that the rainfall situation could be catastrophic, warning also that less within 24 hours, Melissa could intensify to Category 5. And 42 years since U.S. military invasion of Grenada, known as Operation Urgent Fury, where at least 70 Grenadians were killed and 358 injured. Let's see more.
Tras la caída del régimen de José Jeri,
En 1979,
After the fall of the Eric Gary regime in 1979, at the hands of the New Jewel movement, and with Maurice Bishop as prime minister, Grenada began profound social reforms, alphabetization, public health, and labor improvements.
uno de los proyectos claves fue la construcción del aeropuerto.
One of the key projects was the construction of Point Salines International Airport with Cuban support, aimed at economic development and promoting tourism. The United States government, led at the time by Ronald Reagan, declared this to be a supposed Soviet-Cuban military threat in the Caribbean. As a result, the United States maintained a policy of siege and destabilization against the government of Grenada.
Política de asedio y desestabilización contra el gobierno de Granada. En ese contexto, la situación interna se complicó en
In this context, the internal situation became more complicated in 1983, with divisions within the government culminating in a coup led by Vice President Bernard Cord and General Hudson Austin, both allies of the United States. During the coup, Bishop was arrested and, after massive protests in his support, was executed along with several collaborators on October 19. Following the riots, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States requested United States military intervention, arguing that there was a danger to the stability and safety of United States citizens, most of whom were medical students at SD, George's University.
En su mayoría, estudiantes de medicina de la Universidad de St. George. El 25 de octubre de 1983, Estados Unidos...
On October 25, 1983, the United States launched Operation Urgent Fury, sending nearly 7,600 soldiers to join forces with Jamaica, Barbados, and other countries in the region. The stated objective was to restore democratic order, protect United States citizens, and overthrow the military government that had emerged after Bishop's death. Of a sovereign assault, with the capture of Point Salines Airport being key to ensuring logistical control.
Siendo clave la captura del aeropuerto de Point Salines para asegurar el control logístico. La resistencia granadina fue superada por las fuerzas
The Grenadian resistance was overpowered by the United States military forces. The invasion resulted in the killing of at least 200 citizens, and an occupation that installed a pro-United States interim government and called for elections in 1984, dismantling the sovereign and revolutionary government. Internationally, the operation was widely condemned as a violation of international law, with the UN voting 108-9 in repudiation of the invasion. However, it highlighted the persistence of United States interventionism in Latin America and the Caribbean to prevent governments that challenge its hegemony.
En América Latina y el Caribe para impedir gobiernos que desafían su hegemonía.
We now have our first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Youth groups in Peru staged a new demonstration on Saturday demanding the resignation of interim President José Jeri and calling for justice for the death of a protester just over a week ago. The protest by the so-called Generation Z began several weeks ago in the Peruvian capital, Lima, in rejection of the government of then President Dina Boluarte, who was removed from office by Congress amid public outrage over the escalating violence in the Andean nation. With the appointment of Jeri as interim president, the Senate voted on a series of laws that arbitrarily repress the right to protest and weaken the fight against criminal gangs. As part of the repression campaign authorized by the president, it was reported on October 15th, during a march in Lima, the death of the young urban music singer Eduardo Mauricio Ruiz Sanz from a shot attributed to the Peruvian police forces. On October 26, legislative elections are held throughout the 18 districts of the Argentine Republic. Let's take a look at some details.
Más de 36 millones de argentinos
On October 26th, more than 36 million Argentinians are eligible to vote, both in the country and abroad, according to data from the National Electoral Chamber and the National Electoral Directorate. Among them are more than 1 million young people between the ages of 16 and 17, who will be voting for the first time. To this end, 4,445 polling stations will be set up in 644 schools throughout the 18 departments.
Con estas elecciones, se renovará de manera
These elections will partially renew the National Congress, as 127 seats in the Chamber of Deputies and 24 seats in the Senate will be elected, And, for the first time at the national level, voting will be conducted using a single paper ballot. Through this method, all candidates, positions, and political parties appear on a single ballot, which simplifies the voting process. Voters will be able to choose to mark the entire list, or select candidates individually for each category.
Personalizada por cada categoría. En cuanto a la renovación parlamentaria,
As for parliamentary renewal, the Senate renews 24 of its 72 members, electing 3 senators per province, 2 for the majority party, and 1 for the second most voted party. In the Chamber of Deputies, seats are distributed according to the DONT proportional system by province, based on population. This election is notable because no primary, open, simultaneous, or mandatory elections were held after being suspended at the national level following a vote in Congress, marking a change in the electoral dynamics. The Argentinian Post Service will provide comprehensive election services, responsible for logistics, provisional counting, and the release of results. The final count will begin 2 days after the election, on October 28.
Comenzará 2 días después de la elección, el 28 de octubre.
The United States' violent attack on Saturday at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania raises the total number of mass shootings to 353 in just 9 months under the President Donald Trump's administration. The shooting occurred around 9 p.m., leaving 4 people injured so far. According to the Oxford Police Department, the wounded were taken to the Christian Care Hospital in Delaware. The Chester County District Attorney's Office reported that an investigation has been opened, but so far there are no arrests or suspects. Meanwhile, Governor Josh Shapiro urged citizens to avoid the area while offering full state support. According to the Gun Violence Archive, more than 21,000 people have been injured in such incidents so far in 2025. And on Sunday in Kuala Lumpur, capital of Malaysia, the 47th Summit of the Heads of States and Government of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations was inaugurated under the theme Inclusion and Sustainability. More than 30 heads of states and government from member countries and partners such as China, Japan, South Korea, the United States, and Canada are attending this event, which will also feature bilateral meetings of great global interest. The opening session was chaired by the Prime Minister of Malaysia and current President of the Association, Anwar Ibrahim, and served to declare East Timor as the 11th member of the group. From Sunday until October 28th, 3 Asian summits are scheduled, plus one with important partners, including representatives from the United Nations. In this regard, East Timor's Prime Minister pledged that his country would be a productive member of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, as it was formally admitted to the bloc in its first expansion since the 1990s. Xanana Gusmao declared through his official acceptance speech his country's willingness to become an active part of the Brotherhood organization and described inclusion in the group as a powerful affirmation of their journey toward legitimacy. According to experts, East Timor's entry could reverse the negative trends in its gross domestic product, unemployment levels, and overall poverty rates, giving it access to the bloc's free trade deals, investment opportunities, and a broader regional market.
Today, history is made. Timor-Leste has been admitted as the 11th member state of ASEAN. For the people of Timor-Leste, this is not only a dream realized, but a powerful affirmation of our journey. Our accession is a testament to the spirit of our people, a young democracy, born from struggle, now embracing a new era of collaboration and growth within one of the world's most dynamic regions.
Now for a second break coming up, before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Activate the notification button and stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The Euromed Human Rights Monitor warned that Israel's continued refusal to allow international journalists, correspondents, and forensic teams into Gaza constitutes a systematic policy to erase evidence of genocide. In a statement released Saturday, the group said Israel enforces this policy through both field and administrative restrictions, preventing reporters and investigation committees from entering the territory. Euromed argues that by blocking access, Israel aims to impose a complete media blackout, concealing the true scale of destruction and civilian suffering. The organization is urging the United Nations and the international community to ensure immediate independent access for journalists and forensic experts before critical physical and biological evidence is lost. Nicaragua celebrates the festivity of Aguizotes, one of the most emblematic celebrations of Nicaraguan culture in the city of Masaya, the cradle of legends, traditions, and popular myths.
La tradicional fiesta de los Aguizotes.
The traditional festivity of the Aguizotes has its origins in the indigenous neighborhood of Monimbo, where, according to elderly residents, such as Don Guillermo Espinosa Vázquez, for centuries families have remembered the stories their grandparents and parents told them about mythical beings from national folklore.
Les contaban sobre seres míticos del folclore nacional.
Bueno, según mi papá me contaba que...
Well, according to my father, he told me that in those days, we are talking about almost 70 years ago, there was the Nahua Carreta, the Cegua de la Cancha Bruja, the Cadejo de la Monja, and countless other terrifying creatures that, according to popular belief, those creatures appeared at that time to frighten us when we were children.
Para meternos en miedo, nosotros cuando estábamos niños.
Con el paso de las generaciones, la tradición se ha mantenido viva.
Throughout the generations, the tradition has been kept alive. The families of Masaya craft handmade masks that represent Nicaragua tales and legends, such as the Mocuana, the Cadejo, the Carreta Nahua, and the Headless Father, among others.
O el Padre sin cabeza, entre otros.
Esto es un espantapájaro.
This is a scarecrow that they brought me in design so that I could draw it exactly the same with blood and everything.
Aquí tenemos la bruja, que también es un diseño de...
Here we have the witch, which is also a design that I made up myself. The witch pig that I'm going to design right now to decorate it with paint and everything.
Voy a diseñar para darle la decoración, el pintado y todo.
Elaboramos más de 500 máscaras, fíjense.
We made over 500 masks this October. It is nice because lots of people come to buy our products. By making masks, we keep that culture and tradition alive.
Esa cultura y esa tradición.
La celebración de los Aguizotes.
The celebration of the Aguizotes take place on the last Friday of October in this massive festival where thousands of children, young people and adults parade wearing different masks from Nicaraguan legends.
De las leyendas nicaragüenses.
Desde 1976.
Since 1976, the Aguizotes have been celebrated first in Monimbo and 2 years later throughout Masaya. The celebration of the Aguizotes is a celebration of popular culture.
Es la celebración de la cultura popular.
¿Qué personaje anda hoy?
La cegua.
¿Por qué la cegua?
Parte de la tradición y la tradición de Monimbo.
The cegua is part of the tradition here. Our parents say that the cegua always came out, that traditionally it was a woman who came out and dressed up and transformed into a woman called the cegua.
Era una mujer que salía y se vestía y ella se transformaba en una mujer que le llamaban la cegua. Es para espantar a los niños.
She will came out to scare children and people. I dressed my son as a Monimbo goblin. The goblins will come out from the suburbs we call the bajaderos of the beach.
Que le llamamos de los bajaderos de la playa.
15 años ya de venir a esta tradición.
15 years of coming to this tradition wearing the chancha bruja costume, a tradition here in Nicaragua.
La tradición aquí en Nicaragua.
Esto significa para Nicaragua sobre
This means for Nicaragua, and especially for Masaya and Monimbo, that this is a great thing. This is like a treasure that we are rescuing.
lo que nosotros estamos rescatando.
Muy alegre la familia, creo de que
The families are very happy. I believe that every year we are recovering more and more of what the aguizotes mean for the people of Monimbo and the people of Masaya. The aguizotes are a celebration of joy, a celebration of community, a celebration of family.
celebración de comunidad, una celebración de familia.
Los aguizotes de Masaya
The aguizotes of Masaya represent one of the greatest cultural heritage of the Nicaraguan people, a living expression that every year attracts thousands of national and international visitors, reaffirming the creative spirit and cultural identity of Nicaragua.
reafirmando el espíritu creativo y la identidad cultural de Nicaragua. Kenia Doña, TeleSUR, Nicaragua.
With this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.